Servus YouTube, Chef here. Today we're gonna revisit our mage build, almost doubling the damage from our 1.0 version. The skills stay the same, focusing around Arctic Spear because it has the highest damage output while still being mobile. You can run and cast at the same time, as you can see in the background footage. Buffing Arctic Spear with Winter's Grasp, Consuming Embers and Thunderstrike, and Warpath for quick traveling around the map. The only thing that really changes is the math behind it. After 300 hours of testing and playing around with all the different damage calculations, I got a good understanding of what to look for. On passives, we are focusing around crit multi, maximum rage and projectiles. The damage gain per unspent rage is just busted in my opinion. It's not even multiplicative, it's additive, and it's just super overtuned. We can roll that twice on our gear with 9%, so 18% in total per 100 rage, and our maximum rage is 1650. Equals in an absolutely insane amount of almost 300% damage increase. That is so crazy. Obviously that is calculated with maxed out rage, which is pretty much impossible when you use a willpower spender as a main skill, but even if you only have 1300 rage, it is still 230%. So the most important stat on our gear is flat spell damage to make good use of our insane damage increases. After that, crit multi, because that is calculated multiplicative. To clarify, additive damage calculations means it takes the percent amount from your flat damage and adds it to your total damage, and multiplicative takes your total damage and multiplies it. With all that math out of the way, let's go over the details into items, skills, attributes and passive sections. Items. As mentioned, the damage gained per unspent rage is way overtuned. We can roll that on our chest and helmet. I only have 7% on the helmet, because this one rolled with transfer time reduction on it as well. The maximum could be 9%. Those are Carousel affixes, which can roll on rewards when luring untainted. Offhand, we got a Catalyst, main stat flat damage to spells, after that crit multi. Catalysts also give us slower transfer time from willpower to rage. We are negating that on our other gear, cause otherwise we would end up with full white willpower bar and would not gain the rage buff. Main hand, a one-handed weapon with crit multi and 3 sockets. Accessories with the following affixes from most important to least: flat damage to spells, crit multi, increased elemental damage, health and resistances, and sockets. Gloves with resource cost reduction, elemental or occult damage increase, any attributes and preferably with all resistances. Shoulders, depending on how much transfer time reduction you need, take either 2 of this unique, which name I'm not gonna even try to pronounce, or shoulders with either occult or elemental damage increases and resource cost reduction. Pants with also transfer time reduction. You could transform Thunderstrike into shadow damage and combine it with those pants to use it as a rage spender. It is not necessary for me personally, I can sustain with will potions just fine. Boots are whatever, just go for all res and health. Gems in offensive slot Alexanderite, defensive slot 1 Aetherite, after that Silverstone, and support Cyanide. If you have enough transfer time, use Silverstone instead for more damage. My transfer time on gear is plus 98 and minus 65 on the Catalyst. Just stand in town and spam your Ice Spear to see if you end up with a white willpower bar. Like I said, we need the actual rage to gain the buff, so that's why it's so important. Skills. I did not change anything except that I'm using Warpath instead of Ether Jump now, since we have a one-handed weapon equipped. This skill is just for traveling. If you want a detailed overview of all the skills modifiers and reasoning behind it, click the icon in the upper right corner for the Mage Build 1.0. I'm gonna go briefly over everything. Ice Spear is our main damage skill with these modifiers for more damage, and this one for less resource. Winter's Grasp with the bottom right modifier for the buff, as well as Consuming Embers and Thunderstrike. Fully buffed, my Ice Spear has 950 to 1080 total damage, and crit damage is 437. Those are the most important numbers. Attributes. I recommend as much ferocity to get at least 30% crit chance on Ice Spear and the rest into toughness. Keep in mind your weapon crit chance does not equal your spell crit chance. Passives. The tree has changed almost completely. We're focusing on maximum reach, crit multi and projectile. Starting off in the scholar tree, picking up spell damage and increased maximum reach here. Making our way into the Warlock, over to Duty to exterminate for more max reach. Connecting to the Ranger tree through 1 point in Sentinel. Picking up Save from Afar for projectile damage. Ice Spear has quite a lot of range, so we want to cast it preemptively and then move forward. Also picking up Archeon's Teachings, adding 1 more Ice Spear. The minus damage is calculated additive, so we lose almost nothing and then double our entire damage. Second part of the tree is coming through the soldier, picking up as much crit damage as we can. Going into the assassin's tree for merciless lethality. This is also an insane passive node, because the minus damage again is only additive and the critical damage is multiplicative. Making our way into Praetoria, because we have another 40% crit damage over here. And there you go, the updated Mage version 2.0. Like I said, I truly understand the game's calculations now, so through the power of math we can push our builds even higher. Hope you enjoyed the build, I'm having a blast with it. More Wolcen content coming in the future, so I hope I earned your subscriptions. Leave a like, tell me what you think. I'm live on Twitch right as the video goes up over on twitch.tv/chef_Roxy. Would be nice to have you over there. And as always, I'll leave you with more gameplay. Servus, YouTube.